Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaivam Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tado Jayudiret Nasya Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevayam Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashiki. Hare Krishna. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bodhare Sripade Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pacharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pachatya Deshatarini. Hare Krishna. Canto 3, Chapter 3, Sloka 15. Mito yete ksham bhavita vivato madhva mata tamra vilochananam naisham vatopaya iyanatonyo mayyattu te antartate swayam sme.
Hare Krishna.
Evam sanchitya bhagavan swarajyo stapya dharmacham nannayamasa suhrta
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
sadhunam vartama darshayan. Hare
We
Krishna.
need to do the translation in English.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you read one verse and then I'll read the translation in English.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
So, text 15, Hare Krishna. When they quarrel among themselves, influenced by intoxication, with their eyes red like copper because of drinking madhu, then only will they disappear. Otherwise, it will not be possible. On my disappearance, this incident will take place.
Sloka 16. Evam sanchintya bhagavan swarajyo stapya dharmacham nannayamasa suhrda sadhunam vartama darshayan.
Lord Shri Krishna, thus thinking to himself, established Maharaj Yudhishthira in the position of supreme control of the world in order to show the ideal of administration on the path of piety.
Text 17. Uttarayam dradaha pururvamshah swadabhimanyuna savai draunystra samchinnaha punarbhagavata dradaha.
The embryo of Puru's descendant, begotten by the great hero Abhimanyu, in the womb of Uttara, his wife, was burnt by the weapon of the son of Drona, but later he was again protected by the Lord.
Text 18. Aya jayadharma sudamashwamedaistair virvibuha so bhishmamanuche yakshan reme krishna manuvrataha.
The Supreme Lord induced the son of Dharma to perform 3 horse sacrifices, and Maharaj Yudhishthira, constantly following Krishna, the personality of Godhead, protected and enjoyed the earth, assisted by his younger brothers.
Text 19. Bhagavan abhivishwatma lokaveta padanugaha kaman sishave dwarvatya masakta sankhya mastitaha.
Simultaneously, the personality of Godhead enjoyed life in the city of Dwarka, strictly in conformity with the Vedic customs of society. He was situated in detachment and knowledge, as enunciated by the Sankhya system of philosophy.
Text 20. Snigdha madhusmitavalokena vaja piyusha kalpaya charitrena navatyena sriniketana chatmana.
He was there in his transcendental body, the residence of the goddess of fortune, with his usual gentle and sweetly smiling face, his nectarian words, and his flawless character.
Text 21. Imam logamamum chaiva remayan sutaram yadun reme shanattaya datta shanastri kshanas sauhridaha.
The Lord enjoyed his pastimes, both in this world and in other worlds, higher planets, specifically in the association of the Yadu dynasty. At leisure hours offered by night, he enjoyed the friendship of conjugal love with women.
Text 22. Tassaivam ramamanasya samvalsaraganan bahun grihyameteshu yokeshu viragas samajayate.
The Lord was thus engaged in household life for many, many years, but at last his detachment from ephemeral sex life was fully manifested.
Text 23. Devadineshu kameshu Devadinah swayam puman ko visamprade yogena yogeshwara manuvrataha.
Hare Krishna Mataji, can we scroll up, please? Haribo. Every living entity is controlled by a supernatural force, and thus his sense enjoyment is also under the control of that supernatural force. No one, therefore, can put his faith in Lord Krishna's transcendental sense activities, but one who has become a devotee of the Lord by rendering devotional service.
Text 24. Puryam katachit kridat biryadu boja kumaregeha kopita munayaha shebur bhagavanmaya kovidaha.
Once upon a time, great sages were made angry by the sporting activities of the princely descendants of the Yadu dynasty, Yadu and Bhoja dynasties, and thus, as desired by the Lord, the sages cursed them.
Text 25. Tadaha kadapairma sarve vrishnibojandaga kadayaha yayuha prabhasam samprishta hridayirdeva vimohidaha.
A few months passed, and then, bewildered by Krishna, all the descendants of Vrishni, Bhoja, and Andaka, who were incarnations of demigod, went to Prabhasa, while those who were eternal devotees of the Lord did not leave but remained in Dwarka.
Text 26. Tatra snatopi dhruvan devam nrishinchaiva tadambasa tarpaidatvo viprabhebhyo gavo bahu gunataduha.
After arriving there, all of them took bath, and with the water of this place of pilgrimage, they offered their respects to the forefathers, demigods, and great sages, and thus satisfied them. They gave cows to the Brahmanas in royal charity.
Text 27. Hiranyam rajadam yashyam vasansya kambalan yanam retanipan kanya daram vrittiga rimapi.
The Brahmanas were not only given well-fed cows in charity, but also gold, gold coins, bedding, clothing, animal skin sets, blankets, horses, elephants, girls, and sufficient land for maintenance.
Text 28. Annam chorurasam tebhya dattva bhagavadarpanam govi prarthasavaha shuraha prane murbhuvi murtabhiha.
Thereafter, they offered the Brahmanas highly delicious foodstuffs, first offered to the personality of Godhead, and offered the respectful obeisances by touching their heads to the ground. They lived perfectly by protecting the cows and the Brahmanas. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji, for your recitation. So today we'll continue with our reading of and discussion of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto number 3, chapter number 3, entitled Pastimes, the Lord's Pastimes out of Vrindavan. And today we'll be reading and discussing text number 25 to 28. Is that correct, dear devotees?
Hare
Yes,
Krishna,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji. You can share your screen as well, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Jyoti Mataji. 25 to 28. So we'll recite the Mangala Charanam prayers. You can please join me behind muted mics before we start discussing. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Malitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yatapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sadgajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jigatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastite Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sutidevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivashani Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Astyajaradi Shatarine Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So the concluding verses of this chapter, which are verses 24 to 28, is a section describing the events leading up to the annihilation of the Yadus. So the Yadus, they are devotees of Lord Krishna. They appear on this earthly planet to assist the Lord in his pastimes. And then at some point in time, when the Lord winds up his pastimes, he also makes different arrangements for his devotees to wind up their pastimes. This particular events are quite strange in the way the Lord arranged for it. But Prabhupada clearly says in one of the purports, we should understand that such events are all the arrangements of Lord Krishna. So today we'll discuss text 25 to 28, which will then conclude this chapter. Tata katipayema se Vrishni bhojan dakha dayaha yayur prabhasham shamsita ratai deva vimohitaha. What for what synonyms? Tata thereafter, katipaye a few, Masai months passed, Vrishni the descendants of Vrishni, Bhoja the descendants of Bhoja, Andaka, Adaya, and others like the sons of Andaka, Yayu went Prabhasham, the place of pilgrimage named Prabhash. Some its Ratha with great pleasure, Ratai on their chariots, Deva by Krishna, Vimohitaha. So, translation by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Sorry, Prabhuji. We can't see the screen, the text is only.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry about that.
That's all right. Hare
See.
Krishna.
Thank you for reminding me. Okay. You should see it now. You're able to see it?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you, Haribol.
Krishna. A few months passed, and then, bewildered by Krishna, all the descendants of Rishni, Bhoja, and Andhaka, who were incarnations of demigods, went to Prabhuji, while those who were eternal devotees of the Lord did not leave but remained in Dwaraka. There's no purport, but there's some interesting points in this translation. The words Deva Vimohita. Deva Vimohita means bewildered by Krishna. So this is Krishna directly bewildering his devotees to act. Make sure everyone's muted. So the words here, bewildered by Krishna, just like in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna chose to bewilder Arjuna, so the Bhagavad Gita could be spoken. So the lineage of Krishna, so Prabhupada will clarify in the next verse. But Prabhupada says, some of the associates of the Lord were demigods. So those associates of the Lord were demigods. They went to Prabhuji. But those who were eternal devotees of the Lord, they remained in Dwaraka. So in the next purport, Prabhupada will clarify some important points in this regard. So we'll move on. Text number 26. Tatrasnatva pitrindevan rishim chaiva tad ambasa basha tar pahitvatha viprepyo gavo bhahu guno dadu. Word for word synonyms. Tatra, they snatva, by taking bath. Pitrin, forefathers. Devan, demigods. Rishin, great sages. Cha, also. Eva, certainly. Tat, of that. Ambasa, by the water. Tar, by pleasing. Ata, thereupon. Vipribhyaha, onto the Brahmanas. Gavaha, cows. Bahu, gunaha, great feet, greatly useful. Dadu, given charity. After arriving there, all of them took bath, and with the water of this place of pilgrimage, they offered their respects to the forefathers, demigods, and great sages, and thus satisfied them. They gave cows to the Brahmanas in royal charity. Purport. Among the devotees of the Lord, there are several divisions, mainly Nityasiddhas and Sadhanasiddhas. The Nityasiddha devotees never fall down to the region of the material atmosphere, even though they sometimes come onto the material plane to execute the mission of the Lord. The Sadhanasiddha devotees are chosen from the conditioned souls. Out of the sadhana devotees, they are mixed and pure devotees. The mixed devotees are sometimes enthusiastic about fruitive activities and are habituated to philosophical speculation. The pure devotees are free from all these mixtures and are completely absorbed in the service of the Lord, regardless of how and where they are situated. Pure devotees of the Lord are not enthusiastic to put aside their service to the Lord in order to go visit holy places of pilgrimage. A great devotee of the Lord in modern times, Srila Narottam Das Thakur has sung like this: to visit holy places of pilgrimage is another bewilderment of the mind, because devotional service to the Lord at any place is the last word in spiritual perfection. For pure devotees of the Lord who are completely satisfied with the transcendental loving service of the Lord, there is hardly any necessity to visit the various places of pilgrimage. How do I stop someone noting? Okay. Okay, sorry. How do I got a pen here instead of a mouse now? Oh, amen. That joined in the right thing. Anyway, for pure devotees of the Lord who are completely satisfied with the transcendental loving service of the Lord, is hardly any necessity to visit the various places of pilgrimage. For those who are not so advanced, have the prescribed duties of visiting pilgrimage sites and regularly performing their rituals. The part of the princely order of the Yadu dynasty, who were sent to Prabhuji, performed all duties to be done in a place of pilgrimage and offered their pious actions to their forefathers and others. As a rule, every human being is indebted to God, the demigods, great sages, other living entities, people in general, forefathers, etc., for various contributions received from this. Thus, everyone is obliged to repay the debt of gratitude. The Yadus who went to the Prabhuji pilgrimage site performed their duties by distributing land, gold, and well-nourished cows in royal charity, as described in the following verse. So some interesting points being made here. So the first point Srila Prabhupada makes is in relation, as I mentioned in the last verses. There were two categories of Yadus. Those were, as Prabhupada says, Nitya Siddhas and Sadhana Siddhas. So in this world, Siddha means perfected devotees or perfection. So they are Nitya Siddhas are those who are always perfected devotees. And the Sadhana Siddhas are those who reach perfection through sadhana. And Prabhupada explains in the purport that what the Lord manifests his pastimes in this material world, some of his associates are Nitya Siddhas, meaning they come from the spiritual world, they perform their pastimes together with Krishna, they assist him, and then they go back to the spiritual world. But there are other devotees who they are not from the spiritual world. They are in the material world like the demigods. The demigods, they fall to the material world, and through sadhanas they elevate themselves. And there is some different verses where Srila Prabhupada says at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter if one is a Nitya Siddha or a Sadhana Siddha, as long as one reaches perfection. But Srila Prabhupada makes some additional points here in this respect. And Prabhupada says among the sadhana siddhas, there's two categories. And what are the two categories of the sadhana siddhas? The first category is those that are completely pure devotees. And then you have the mixed devotees. And what are the symptoms of the mixed devotees? The symptoms of the mixed devotees, they have some level of enthusiasm to perform fruitive activities, and sometimes to be some inclination to be engaged in philosophical speculation. So the mixed devotees, by association with the pure devotees, they can also become pure. Our Acharya, Srila Rupa Goswami, he gave us the definition of pure devotional service. Anya bilashita shunyam, jnana karmadi anavrita, anukulyena, Krishna anushilanam, bhakti uttama. He said for pure devotional to be service to be pure, it has to be free from any desire for fruitive activity, adi, yogic perfection, and mental speculation or the desire for liberation. One has to serve Krishna constantly in a favorable mood as Krishna desires. So the demigods, they are sometimes in mixed category. They are not always pure devotees. And we can see one typical example is Lord Indra. He often gets involved in activities that are not considered to be pure devotional service. So Srila Prabhupada says that those devotees that went to Prabhupada, they had some mixed, because it said here, Tatrasnatva Pitrin Devan. They worship the forefathers, the great sages, they are the demigods. So the pure devotees of the Lord, they focus their attention, exclusive attention on worshipping and directing all of their focus to Krishna only. Now, Srila Prabhupada makes some interesting points here about going to pilgrimage. And Srila Prabhupada says here, pure devotees of the Lord are not enthusiastic to put aside their service to the Lord in order to go visit holy places of pilgrimage. Now that is quite an interesting statement, because we know many devotees, even pure devotees, they go to places of pilgrimage. Even when Srila Prabhupada was on this planet Earth, he used to go to Kumbh Mela, he went to Kurukshetra, and he went to different places of pilgrimage. So is there any contradiction here? How do we understand this statement? Would anyone like to say how they understand this in the context of pure devotional service, in the context of observing activities of pure devotees? Anyone likes to offer their understanding?
Hare Krishna, Vrindavan, Chandra, please accept my humble obeisances.
Please accept my Mataji.
My understanding is that the pure devotee, the like Srila Prabhupada, they go to pilgrimage where they also feel they have a service to perform. So when they go there with their association, the other people who associate with the pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada, they become more elevated. So it's a service to Krishna. They go there to raise the consciousness. It's not that they're boasting themselves I'm pure, but they do as a service to Krishna. So this is my understanding.
Very nice. Thank you. Anyone else likes to offer their understanding? Okay, I think you are in agreement with Palika Mataji. So the important point here is the consciousness. When the pure devotees go to places of pilgrimage, they go as a in the mood of service, either to see a particular deity there or to preach. Whereas it seems like, as described in these verses, the devotees who are not pure, they may go there for atonement, for some type of purification, and as is explained here, to please the demigods or the forefathers. And Srila Prabhupada quotes a song by Narottam Das Thakur: to visit the holy places of pilgrimage is another bewilderment of the mind, because devotional service to any place is the last word in spiritual perfection. So the pure devotees of the Lord, they are not so much concerned about their purification, them performing certain Vedic rituals, them abiding by any rules and regulations. The sole goal of a pure devotee is to please Krishna. So when a pure devotee goes to places like Vrindavan, and we know for a fact that one of the 5 most potent forms of devotional service, one of them is to live in a holy place. So the devotees, pure devotees, their main goal, their main purpose is to please Krishna. They are not thinking of roaming and going sightseeing. Their own main mood is to serve Krishna. And if they feel that Krishna has some service for them in a holy place, then they will go. Otherwise, where they are given their service, they'll perform their service. So there's some subtle points being made here. It's not per se that going to any holy places of pilgrimage, or visiting any places of pilgrimage, is against the principles of devotional service. No. The main point being made here, what is the consciousness of those people who go? Like if a person has service in a particular place, and he says, oh, I want to now go visit so many places of pilgrimage, and they leave their service, then there is some subtle, how can I say, subtle motivation, personal motivation. But if the spiritual master or others advise them you should go for a place of pilgrimage, then they would go. Or if they go with the mood that I need some time to elevate my consciousness by associating with the sadhus at the holy places, by purifying my consciousness so I can come back and do my service better for Krishna, I can serve my spiritual master better, then that's fine. Everything is about consciousness. Prabhupada says, for pure devotees of the Lord who are completely satisfied with the transcendental loving service of the Lord, there is hardly any necessity to visit the various places of pilgrimage. But those who are not so advanced have the prescribed duties of visiting. So Prabhupada is talking about prescribed duties. We know that Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, sarva dharmam parijya mam ekam sharanam bhaja. But Krishna says, just surrender unto me. I will take care of everything, and you will have no other duties. So it's the subtle difference here is one feeling that they have any other duty. And we discussed recently what is the definition of faith, Shraddha. Srila Prabhupada says Shraddha means the complete conviction that simply by serving Krishna, I can attain all success in life. That's how Srila Prabhupada defines Shraddha, faith. The complete conviction that simply by serving Krishna, I can attain all success in life. There is no question. Therefore there's a beautiful poem, verses, stanzas written by Sri Madhavendra Puri, where he says, "Good morning, my morning bath. I bid you farewell. Good morning, goodbye, my morning rituals. I bid you farewell." And in this way, he lists so many duties, and he says, I bid you farewell, because having found shelter at the lotus feet of Lord Govinda, I feel I have no other duties. Some people may ask the question that, oh, I don't consider myself very pure. I don't consider myself at that level yet. So does that mean that I should still go with the mode of performing duties to the holy places? No, we should have, although we are sadhakas and we may not be so advanced on the path of sadhana bhakti yet, we are on the path. We have full faith in the words of Krishna. We don't have the sense that I need to do something else for my benefit, for my advancement, for my protection. Simply by offering pure devotional service to Krishna, everything will be taken care of. And Prabhupada says in the end, as a rule, every human being is indebted to God, the demigods, great sages, and other living entities, people in general. So many debts. We have so many debts. This morning, Chandra Chaitanya Prabhu shared a very beautiful lecture by Srila Prabhupada. He shared it on our Sankirtan team group, where Prabhupada is giving this lecture, and Prabhupada is saying, you know, if we get someone very great who comes and says to us, you know what, don't worry, I will take care of everything you need, everything that you want, and that person is fully capable of doing that. And he says, don't worry, you just depend on me and I'll take care of you. If we doubt such a person, then it's not such a good situation. Those people who say, okay, he's saying he's going to take care of everything, it's a no-brainer then. And I know he's capable of doing it. If someone is not capable of doing it, then we could have some doubts and reservations. But when someone is saying who's fully capable, like Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he's saying, you know what, just depend on me completely. I will take care of everything. Do not fear. You just be with me, you serve me, you be my devotee, I'll take care of everything. And there's no need for any doubt. No need. So I've got two more verses. Let me move on a bit. So text number 27. Iranyam rajatam sayam vasamsi ajina kambalan yanam ratan imhan kanya dharam riti karim api. Iranyam gold, rajatam gold coins, sayam bedding, vashamshi clothing, Ajina, animal skin for seats, Kambalan, blankets, Yanam, horses, Ratan, chariots, Hiban, elephants, Kanyaha, girls, Dharam, land, Vriti, Karim, to provide livelihood, Api, also. Translation. The Brahmanas were not only given well-fed cows in charity, but also gold coins, bedding, clothing, animal skin seats, blankets, horses, elephants, girls, and sufficient land for maintenance. Purport. All these charities were meant for the Brahmanas, whose lives were devoted entirely to the welfare of society, both spiritually and materially. The Brahmanas were not giving their services as paid servants, but the society provided them with all necessities. It was arranged for some of the Brahmanas who were in difficulty for marriage to be given girls. The Brahmanas therefore had no economic problems. The Kshatriya kings and rich mercantile men would provide them with all that they needed. And in exchange, the Brahmanas were completely devoted to the elevation of society. That was the way of social cooperation between the different classes. When the Brahmana class or caste gradually became easygoing, being fed by the society, although they had no Brahmanical qualifications, they degraded themselves into Brahmabandhus, or disqualified Brahmanas. And thus other members of society also gradually fell down from the social standard of progressive life. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, the caste system is the creation of the Lord and is arranged according to the quality of work rendered to society and not in terms of birthright, as falsely claimed in the present degraded society. So Srila Prabhupada is making the point that we often speak about, that society needs Brahmanas. Society needs learned, qualified persons to disseminate Krishna consciousness and spiritual knowledge. And such Brahmanas, one of the very, very important qualities of such Brahmanas, that they have no anxiety about their maintenance. They have no anxiety about their maintenance. They simply disseminate spiritual knowledge. They are not worried if they are going to get any dakshina when they're distributing spiritual knowledge. Their main focus is to study and disseminate spiritual knowledge. And the other classes, the Vaishyas and the Kshatriyas, they make sure that the Brahmanas are completely taken care of. And yeah, Prabhupada even gives the example. Sometimes they are young Brahmanas who need a wife. Even such Brahmanas, they should not have no anxiety. They should have no anxiety about even having a wife. Because the Kshatriyas would give their daughters to the Brahmanas in marriage. For a Brahmin man to marry a Kshatriya woman, that is fine. That is Vedic. So this important, and Prabhupada says the moment that this dynamic changes, where Brahmanas become more focused on getting some income for their maintenance through the Brahmana profession, then they become disqualified. They're disqualified because Brahmanas are Brahmins by quality, not by guna, by karma. Guna and karma, qualities and activities, not by janma, birth. So these brahmanas being described in this verse, they were given so much gold coins, bedding, clothing, animal skin, seeds, blankets, horses, elephants, girls, and sufficient land for maintenance. So everything was given to the brahmanas. Everything, domestic animals, currency, consumables. And the society was functioning really, really nice. But so, one of the qualities of the brahmanas, they should never be in anxiety about their maintenance. They should never think about getting income through dissemination of spiritual knowledge. That's very important. Okay, it's 8:31. I think it's an appropriate. Is that the last verse? Oh no, there's one more. Sorry. We should finish the chapter. Yeah, text number 28. Anam chora rasam tebyo dhatva bhagavat arpanam go vipra atasavashuraha prane mor bhuvi murdhabhi. Thereafter, they offer the brahmanas highly delicious foodstuffs, first offered to the personality of Godhead, and offered their respectful obeisances by touching their heads to the ground. They live perfectly by protecting the cows and the brahmanas. Oh, purport. The behavior exhibited by the descendants of Yadu in the pilgrimage site of Prabhuji was highly cultured and exactly to the point of human perfection. The perfection of human life is attained by following three principles of civilization: protecting the cows, maintaining the Brahmanical culture, and above all, becoming a pure devotee of the Lord. Without becoming a pure devotee of the Lord, one cannot perfect one's human life. The perfection of human life is to be elevated to the spiritual world, where there is no birth, no death, no disease, and no old age. That is the highest perfectional aim of human life. Without this aim, any amount of material advancement in so-called comforts can only bring the defeat of the human form of life. Brahmanas and Vaishnavas do not accept any foodstuff which is not first offered to the personality of Godhead. Foodstuff offered to the Lord is accepted by the devotees as the mercy of the Lord. After all, the Lord supplies all kinds of foodstuff, both to the human being and to other animals. A human being must be conscious of the fact that all foodstuffs, namely grains, vegetables, milk, water, etc., the prime necessities of life, are supplied for mankind by the Lord, and such foodstuffs cannot be manufactured by any scientist or materialist in a laboratory or factory established by human effort. The intelligent class of men are called Brahmanas, and those who have realized the absolute truth in his supreme personal feature are called Vaishnavas. For both of them, except foodstuffs, which are the remnants of sacrifice. Sacrifice is ultimately meant for satisfying the Yagya Purush. In the Bhagavad Gita 3.13, let's quickly see that verse. Yagya hishashtana shanto muchyante sarvakil bisai bunjate te twagam papa ya puchanti atma karanat. The devotees of the Lord are released from all kinds of sin because they eat food which is offered first for sacrifice. Others who prepare food for personal sense enjoyment verily eat only sin. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said that one who accepts foodstuffs as a remnants of sacrifice is free from all sinful reaction. And one who cooks foodstuffs for maintenance of his body takes in all kinds of sins which lead only to suffering. The foodstuffs prepared by the Yadus at Prabhuji's pilgrimage site to offer to the bona fide Brahmanas, they were all offered to the personality of Godhead Vishnu. The Yadus offered their sincere obeisances by touching their heads to the ground. The Yadu or any enlightened family in Vedic culture are trained for attainment of human perfection by total cooperation of service between the different divisions of social orders. The word Uru Rasam is also significant here. Hundreds of delicacies can be prepared simply by the combinations of grains, vegetables, and milk. All such preparations are in the mode of goodness and therefore may be offered to the personality of Godhead. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita 9:26, if one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, I will accept it. The Lord accepts only foodstuffs which are within the range of fruits, flowers, leaves, and liquids, provided they are offered in complete devotional service. Devotional service is the only criterion for a bona fide offering to the Lord. The Lord assures that he positively eats such foodstuffs offered by the devotees. So, judging from all sides, the Yadus were perfectly trained, civilized persons, and they being cursed by the Brahmana sages was only by the desire of the Lord. The whole incident was a warning to all concerned that no one should behave lightly with Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. So Krishna is so intelligent, the Lord is so perfect, he could accomplish many purposes by one action. So it is said here by I think most of us know the pastimes of how the Yadus upset the Brahmanas, as described in the 10th canto. Krishna made arrangements so that he could wind up the pastimes of the Yadus, and at the same time he could give a very important lesson to the world. And the first lesson is, don't upset the Brahmanas. So we see here, Prabhupada says, that they were so trained that in this instance, they are acting in a way perfect to please the Brahmanas. Yet at the same time, they had acted in a way, in another instance, to displease the Brahmanas. So what can we conclude, as Prabhupada says in the purport, that the displeasing part or activities, that was the Lord covering up their intelligence for achieving a specific purpose. So thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 3rd canto, 3rd chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Lord's Pastimes out of Vrindavan. Hare Krishna. So if there's any questions, comments, or reflections, the devotees, please feel free to unmute your mics and express what you'd like to.
Hare Krishna and Chandra, please
Hare
accept
Krishna.
this. What I get a little confused because all these demigods, they came as in the Yadu dynasty. They were associating with Krishna so much. Nobody would have that kind of association, but they would it not change their consciousness to to get in a pure stage, because they were with Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead. So I just wonder, why did they behave in that way? I know you mentioned, that to wind up everything. So I was still thinking that would there be their consciousness would get elevated by this so much association with Krishna, and so many sages is to come there. So I just want to understand this, please.
Yes, anyone who associates with Krishna becomes purified. As Prabhupada says, if you associate with the Supreme Pure, you also become pure. And they come with the mood of service to Krishna to serve the Lord in his pastime. Same way when Lord Ramachandra came. We know that many of the monkeys, they were demigods that came to assist Lord Ramachandra in his pastimes. I'm not sure. I mean, every living entity is individual. As we know, the demigods, they are devotees of the Lord.
Yes, definitely.
they are definitely devotees of the Lord, and they are servants of the Lord.
Mm.
But we also know that the demigods, they can be mixed sometimes. They can be mixed. So that mixed consciousness, sometimes it stays. Just like, everyone's individual. Sometimes the mixed consciousness stays, sometimes it goes away. But who knows? I mean, those demigods, what was their destination in the next life? Because Prabhupada talks about Nitya Siddhas and Sadhana Siddhas. So Siddha means perfected beings. So Prabhupada sometimes in his purports, he refers to them as Sadhana Siddhas, and sometimes he refers them to them as mixed devotees. So I'm not sure, maybe I need to find out, is after they assist the Lord in their pastimes, do they go back to their positions as demigods, or do they go back to the spiritual world? Or do they go back to another planet where the Lord is performing his pastimes and assisting there? It could be a combination of all three.
Yeah, they could be.
Just depending on the consciousness. I don't feel I am knowledgeable enough to answer that question in a definitive way, but that's how I would consider the situation, Yeah.
Thank you. No, I mean, I just, it made me think that way, because why would they get into kind of a fighting mood like that? That's not a very high consciousness. I mean, they're with Krishna, and I'm sure if it is Krishna's plan.
Oh yeah, the fighting mode, the fighting consciousness, that was definitely Krishna's, because Prabhupada says that in many places, the fighting among themselves,
so that he can wind his pastime, and that episode finishes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Very nice. Bhagavatam is just so wonderful, so wonderful, so much. It helps us to, understand so many things, and it's really Srila Prabhupada, the way he explains to us, and we can raise our consciousness, lower consciousness to the little bit better consciousness, because we are far, far away. But
absolutely. Sometimes when you read these purports, you could almost see that, may almost be thinking like Srila Prabhupada is somewhat critical of certain personalities. But it's not like that, Prabhupada says, once he said, my guru came to give pure devotional service. And anything that stopped short of pure devotional service, he spoke out against it. And I come with the same mission, that anything that stops or falls short of pure devotional service, I speak out. So Prabhupada in his purports is actually is being so merciful to the reader, and is explaining things in a way that if we read it, we will not want to fall short of that pure mode.
Yeah.
Because it's only pure devotional service that can completely satisfy the soul. Yayatma suprasidati. It's only pure devotional service. A mixed devotional service will not. So sometimes it may seem like it's some apparent contradictions in Srila Prabhupada's purport, but there's not. The purpose, the goal in Srila Prabhupada is one-pointed. And he's just giving every reader pure devotional service. That's what he wants to give. That's what he wants to make the standard, because he knows, as the pure devotee of the Lord, it is only pure, unmotivated devotional service that can satisfy the soul. Yayatma suprasidati. Ahaitukri apratihata. Those are the unmotivated.
Also, as we are now reading more and Srimad Bhagavatam, my understanding is that the way Srila Prabhupada, I mean, we are all different kind of a level of our consciousness. We are, as we are now reading our consciousness, I'm sure it is helping our consciousness to get into better. So Srila Prabhupada also, I understand that the way he's kind of giving his purport, it's gently, slowly, step by step. He's bringing our consciousness, and he knows, because he's a perfect person, he knows how step by step we can raise our consciousness by being associating with Srila Prabhupada through this purport. I think that's why I think he explains this way. My understanding is that
Yes.
gently.
Yes, I was reading the other day an account of one devotee, how he became a devotee. And he said, like, he read so many Bhagavad Gitas he was reading before he became a devotee. And finally, he received Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita. And he said when he picked it up and he started to read it, he felt that Srila Prabhupada's words and purports were so pure that initially he had to put it down. He had to put it down. But he knew that Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita was so pure, just pure devotional service, nothing but pure devotional service. He knew that that was the genuine Bhagavad Gita. But at that point, he said the purity of Prabhupada's words was like so heavy. He couldn't accept it. He just had to put it down. You know, he had to put the book down because Prabhupada's. So that's what comes through in all of the purpose of Srila Prabhupada. He's giving us the purest knowledge, the highest knowledge, you know, and that's the mood in which we should accept it. Yeah. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Also, I have a little bit of small question. I don't know whether I'm allowed. It's just we are studying Canto 10 now at the moment, and you know how Shukadev Goswami is explaining everything about Vrindavan, how when Krishna in the autumn season comes and the rainy season finish and autumn season, and the way the vivid description of autumn, I mean, how the rivers, they were sort of so jubilant, they were sort of showing their feeling, you know, raising this, giving Krishna flowers, and then, you know, also the bamboo, when Krishna was blowing the flute, how kind of a, you know, river water having the lotus as an offering to Krishna, that there's sort of in every aspect of the nature was so much absorbed in Krishna and giving Krishna. How if you are not there, I mean, Shukadeva Goswami is explaining everything Parikshit. So how, I mean, if he wasn't there himself, how would he explain this? So I had a bit of a confusion. So I don't think I had the answer. So I just felt I was not really asking the right question. So would you be able to help me? How would he?
I'm not sure if I understood your dilemma, Mataji. Correct me if I'm wrong. So you're saying what Shukadev Goswami's words are so pure that it's difficult to understand, or I'm not sure what you're asking.
The way he was describing Vrindavan at that time,
Yes,
as if he was personally there to see everything, you know, how the rivers, actually he was visualizing and explaining everything to you know, Parikshit Maharaj. If he wasn't
yes. The devotees are saying that. Shukadev Goswami was seeing that in his mind's eye. He was there. He was there. He was in Vrindavan. His consciousness was completely in Vrindavan. And he was he was so pure he could perceive every detail of Vrindavan. I mean, without being there, how else can he do it? So he was in complete Vrindavan consciousness.
Yes.
Yeah, that consciousness, Well, you can be there physically, or you can be there in consciousness. So Shukdev Goswami was at the bank of the river Ganges, but his consciousness was completely in Vrindavan. Yeah, he was seeing everything in Vrindavan.
That's how he can explain everything like that.
Yeah.
These verses.
Yes.
They're so wonderful. I mean, it's really more you hear. It's just amazing. It's really amazing.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you so much. Thank you for it. Thank you.
Suresh Prabhu, you've been patiently waiting. You raised your hand. Would you like to add
I
anything?
needed to leave, that's why I need to raise, but it took a little longer to get to this point. Anyway, Prabhu, quick question. How would you clarify the apparent contradiction? Obviously, it's not a contradiction, but the apparent contradiction with respect to what we just read a little earlier about devotees not necessarily wanting to desire to live in Mathura or a Dham, compared to Rupa Goswami's instructions that one of the 64 limbs is Mathura Vas is one of the limbs of sadhana bhakti. And of course, we read consistently through all of Shastras and Bhagavatam, etc., that residing in the Dham is considered to be the utopia for devotees. And of course, we all aspire to live in the Dham, not because we are qualified. Well, certainly I'm not qualified to preach in the Dham. So my objective wouldn't be to go to a Dham to be able to preach, but it would be to actually receive instruction, receive Sangha, receive instruction, receive the Sadhu Sangha, which is, so we are desiring to go to the Dhams almost on a selfish basis, not because we're going there to preach, because most of us aren't qualified to, but we're going to be preached to. So how do you square the apparent contradiction with what we just read earlier compared to instructions in Shastra?
Yeah, I mean, living in the holy place, living in the Dham is one of the 64 angas mentioned by Rupa Goswami in the Nectar of Devotion. So the main point is our desire to go to the Dham. Is it to enjoy the Dham, or is it to serve the Dham? Now, one may ask the question, what do we mean by serving the Dham? We know that hearing is service. We know that chanting is service. We know that going to the temple is service. So we do it in that if we go to the Dham and we perform all of these activities we perform in the Dham, it's fine. That is service, is no contradiction, it's all part of devotional service. But if one goes to the Dham with any other motive besides to serve, if one goes to the Dham because one thinks we can do good business there from all the pilgrims, if one goes to the Dham to beg and collect money to get rich, that's not good. That's not good. So per se, visiting the places of pilgrimage is perfectly in line with pure devotional service. It is pure devotional service. It's just the consciousness. Everything is about consciousness. Same activity. It could be mixed or it could be pure. It all depends on the consciousness. So if we look at it from the perspective of consciousness, there's no contradiction. That would be my answer, Prabhu.
Thank you. Perfect answer, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Okay, dear devotees, we went on a bit beyond time. Sorry about that. Thank you very much for your service. Thank you for your attendance. All glories to your service. Vanchikalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Anantakoti Vaishnavavrinda ki La Prabhupada
Ki jai.
Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Gaur ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.